Okay, tengah recording tau. Hmm? Weh, kenapa tiba-tiba ramai ni? Ya Allah. Aduh, siapa? Eh. Siapa yang tengah melipat tu? Mak siapa rajin sangat ni? InsyaAllah. Okay, ready? Okay. Ya, you ke tense ke? Aku macam aku rasa muka aku dah okay dah. Kenapa Thaqif macam tu?
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang berbahagia, Encik Aminuddin bin Abu Bakar, Director of Teacher Training Institute, Tun Hussein on Campus. Yang berusaha, Dr. Muhammad Zairi bin Hussein, Deputy Director of Teacher Training Institute, Tun Hussein on Campus. Ms. Neni Johara binti Johari, Head of Language Department, Teacher Training Institute, Tun Hussein on Campus. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our talk show. I would like to wish everyone a very good evening. I hope you all have had your iftar, because tonight we invite all of you to reflect on an issue that a lot of Malaysian students secretly experience. Now, before we start, I want to make sure that all of your microphones are muted, because this session will be recorded for educational purposes. So, in order to avoid any disruptions, mute your mic and also close your camera. Okay, thank you. And also, in the comment section, feel free to say hi or introduce yourself. And by the end of our discussion, there will be a Q&A session, which is very exciting. And yes, there will be an e-certificate waiting for you at the end of our session. So please do not leave yet, because we will share the Google form in the comment section. All right, with that said and done, let us begin. In many Malaysian classrooms today, language does more than help us understand lessons. It determines who excels and who struggles. I had a friend in high school who is very passionate about the science subject. She was very excited when she got to enter science streams class. But I was surprised when I got to know that her results dropped. And it's not because that she lacked intelligence, but it's because she is not confident in the language that she is learning in. She takes DLP, duolingo program, which means she is learning in English, and she wasn't confident in it. And honestly, I'm sure that a lot of students in Malaysia face the same situation as my friend. Maybe it was our slip billing. Maybe it was us. So that is what we will get into. Our talk show, Lost in Translation, Speaking Global in a Local World, looks at how education determines what language is important and how that decision can open door for certain people while other people may struggle. So when English becomes the main pathway for education and employment, how can we make sure that students with different linguistic backgrounds can have equal opportunity? So let us get into our discussion. Before that, let me introduce my fellow panelists. We are students from Teacher Training Institute, Tun Hussein on Campus. We are taking teaching English as a second language for our bachelor's degree in teaching. Joining us today is Thaqif, who will explore how globalization shapes language expectation. We also have Alifha, who will guide us through the concept of global citizenship. And I'm Hanani, who will serve as your moderator for tonight. So, first, let us understand the global reality we are living in. Thaqif, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Miss Hanani. As said in the title earlier, we are going to understand the global context of a globalized world, which begin with global reality. The first week, English as a global lingua franca. For context, lingua franca means common language used by people who have different native languages to communicate with each other. According to data referenced by the United Nations and Global Linguistic Research, approximately 1.5 billion people worldwide use English either as a first, second, or a foreign language. Yet only around 370 million are native speaker. This means most English users are multilingual individuals navigating English as an additional tool. English dominates in, in, international diplomacy, aviation standards, global businesses, communication, and over 80% of index academic journal. The implication is not that English is superior. The implication is that English has become an infrastructural. It operates as the default system of globalization. The second one is cross border education and employment. Reported by UNESCO, more than 6 million students study outside their home countries globally, a number that has steadily increased over the past 2 decades. International universities increasingly operate in English, even in non English speaking nations. Employers across multinational sectors constantly rank English communication skills as essential. Language proficiency, therefore, function as an economic capital. When global mobility expands, language proficiency determines who can access it. The third and the last one, epistemic and cultural asymmetries. The dominance of English in journals, conferences, and platforms show language empowers in literature, cultures, and also spark conferences distance. Though through digital platform, international media, and transnational network, cultural exchange is immediate and continuous. The United Nations emphasized intercultural competence as a key for the 21st century skill. Communication today requires more than grammar, it requires cultural literacy. So, this slide established the foundation. Globalization is not optional. English dominance is structural. Education system must respond. Now, the question is, how do we as future educator overcome this challenge? Now, that is a thought to reflect upon ourselves further into the topic.
Thank you so much, Thaqif, for your insightful explanation about the global reality. Now I understand that English is technically the main language for our world. So, as citizens, we must take part in becoming better in English because it opens to a lot of opportunities. So, let us now have Alifa explain what does it mean to be a global citizen. Please welcome Alifa.
Thank you, Miss Hanani. Well, before I start my before I start my presentation, I would like to ask you, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when we mention the word global citizenship? Well, I bet that most of you guys think that it is for the only elites. But no, global citizenship is for everyone. So, what is global citizenship actually? Global citizenship is the sense of belonging to a common humanity. It transcends borders by recognizing that our political, economic, and cultural lives are deeply interconnected. We need to know that there are three core pillars of the global citizen. What are they? They are awareness, values, and competence. Okay, so what are those three mean? We will start with awareness first. Awareness is global citizens first recognize that local actions are part of wider interconnected issues. So, awareness. It means that we need to know a lot of things that is happening in our country and even around the globe. So, in Malaysia, pupils learn that the country's flood risk is linked to climate change trends across Southeast Asia. So, what's the solution? A science lesson on river basin management includes data from the Mekong and the Indian Ocean. The same awareness is needed after the PISA 2018 results showed Malaysian students scored low on global issue knowledge, prompting curriculum revisions to raise their international outlook. Second, values. Values is a global citizen holds attitudes of respect, empathy, and responsibility toward diverse peoples and the planet. Malaysian schools embed these values through programs. For example, in schools, we can usually see schools organize Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, and Deepavali together. The, these activities teach students to value cultural pluralism and through projects that stress sustainability, peace, and equity. And last but not least is competence, the ability to act, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. So the example that we can see here is Year 10 project where Malaysian learners collab with peers from Indonesia via video conferencing to design a low-cost water purification prototype. Students practice English together to cross-border dialogue and negotiate cultural differences and apply scientific reasoning to real-world problems. This competence this competence embed four aspects, which is communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Therefore, together, awareness, values, and competence form the three pillars that enable Malaysian students to see themselves as active participants in a shared global community. Next slide, please. Okay, so before I pass my turn to the next speaker, let us ask let us ask ourselves, which kind of citizen would you like to be? Is it to be a local citizen or global citizen? So if you want to be a citizen that aware with everything, value with respect, empathy, and responsibility, and also communicate really well, then global citizen will be your answer. With that, I'll pass my turn to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Alifa, for your explanation just now. I'm sure that everyone wants to be a global citizen, which is why you stressed the importance of having awareness, values, and competency in order to be a global citizen. So, from your explanation, I have to ask this question. If global citizenship means participating in the world, what language are we participating in? You see, we often think that language is just a tool, a bunch of grammar rules and vocabulary that we use to communicate with other people. But after doing some research, I found out that language is actually a social capital. What this means is language acts as an asset, something that helps us move forward in life. So, it is about having access and mobility. Let me break this into three simple parts. The first part is structural access. So, in Thaqif's slide just now, he explained about global reality, how a lot of things are mainly in English. If we look closer, international journals, they are published in English. Universities mostly teach in English, and multinational companies operate in English. So even here in Malaysia, if you want to join international program or you want to have a scholarship, then you need to have good MUET or IELTS results. So access is not about where you come from, but it depends on how functional you work in English, how you can apply English in your studies and in your future job. If your proficiency is weak, then some doors may feel harder to enter, even if you are actually capable. So the first part is the second part is credibility. Language can affect how people see you. Studies show that accents and speech style can determine how professional and competent you seem. And this issue is not always fair. Two people can have the same idea, but the one who sounds more professional, they may be taken more seriously. So we can see that how fluent you are in a language determines how people perceive you. And this phenomenon is called native bias. The third part is about opportunity. Recent study shows that countries with higher English proficiency have stronger global competitiveness. But at the same time, UNESCO reminds us that most countries are multilingual. Yet, most high status areas like research, global conference, international business, they all mainly use English. So when one language dominates these high status areas, that language becomes powerful. So people who are fluent in that language, they can move easily in life, while those who aren't, they may face invisible barrier. That's why language policy is not an education issue. We can see that it connects to social mobility and economic opportunity. So, how does this unequal opportunity look like in Malaysian context? Let us have Thaqif introduce us to the inequality gap.
All right, entering the subtopic inequality gap, one of the most controversial problems faced by today's educator. By definition, inequality gap means systematic disparities in access, participation, and achievement in language education. Inequalities happens a lot, and yet people only care once it becomes critical to the point of beyond saving. It arises from differences in socioeconomic status, global geographic location, institutional quality, and linguistic background. But here's the thing: differences does not limit growth. They reshape how individuals from different backgrounds rises in different ways. In Malaysia, exposure to English varies significantly. Urban students often have access to tuition, international program, and digital immersion, while rural students may rely primarily on school instruction. This creates unequal language development trajectories. Private education institutions may emphasize English proficiency more heavily, widening the disparity. But inequality is not only academic, it's also psychological. Students who feel linguistically inadequate often internalize inferiority. Confidence decreases, participation reduces, language discriminate. Studies shows that accent and fluency can influence self-esteem and perceived intelligence. If global participation requires confidence in English, then unequal preparation translates into unequal voice. Education must close this gap intentionally. Now, let's analyze them one by one. First, institutional divide. Private school frequently teach in English and operates with small class size and more targeted language support, while public school, by contrast, commonly have larger classes and a mix of language background. These structural differences affect the daily amount of instruction and the teacher attention each student receives. In short, class size and instructional fo- insert, insert, instructional focus shape opportunity. The second one, geographic exposure. Urban students typically encounter more English outside school, like media social, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. They also have access to tuition and more specialized teachers in their course, while rural students often face fewer resources and less regular exposure. This is not only about learner aptitude, It is also about the volume and variety of language input available to learners each day. The third and the last one, the psychological dimension. Low confidence in the classroom can cause anxiety, reduce participation, and lower self esteem. When students speak less, they practice less, and progress slow. This effect compound the material, the inequalities we just described, creating a cycle that restrict opportunity over time. To summarize into simpler terms, these three factors institutional resources, exposure by location, and psychological impact produce measurable differences in access, participation, and achievement. The inequality gap is therefore a massive problem of opportunity, not a potential. That's all from me.
Thank you once again, Thaqif, for your explanation. I can see that inequality gap can actually bring a lot of negative consequences. But certain countries, they actually try to balance between the country's native language and also English, which Alifa will explore in her presentation.
Thank you, Miss Hanani. So for now, we will study some cases across the globe, which is balancing model, balancing English and the native language. So we will take a look on our country first, which is Malaysia. So how do we balance English and the native language? The dual language program, DLP, positions English as the language of economic opportunity while keeping Bahasa Melayu as the core of the national identity language, which is a shift from the earlier English-only PPSMI model. Tension remains over equity rural versus urban school, and teacher readiness sparking debate about how much English can be introduced without marginalizing Bahasa Melayu. Oh yeah, before that, I would like to ask to people who is joining us here, also the panelists and the moderator as well. Uh, can you take a guess which states of Malaysia contribute the most in ensuring the English proficiency of our country to be high?
Me.
Oh,
I would
Yes,
like
what
to
is it?
answer that question.
What is it,
I
Taki?
think that it's Johor because can't you see how modern Johor has become?
Well, that is incorrect. How about you, Hanani?
maybe it's Selangor because I think Selangor is the most developed state in Malaysia.
Well, no. Believe it or not, Sarawak is the state that contribute the most in ensuring English proficiency in Malaysia. Why? Because studies from Us Edge article mention that Sarawak is passionate about getting its education on the right path. And currently, 20.74% of primary schools and 33.21% of secondary schools in Sarawak offer the LP program. So, can you imagine that without Sarawak school, number of primary schools offering the LP significantly drops to 4.5%. So, we should be grateful for having Sarawak with us until now. Okay, now across the border, Singapore. English is the principal medium of instruction. Each student also receives compulsory mother tongue lessons, which is Mandarin, Tamil, or Malay to preserve culture roots. The system is praised for elevating English while preserving mother tongue education, showing a pragmatic balance that minimizes conflict. So this means that they still speak English, but at the same time they will have to take their own mother tongue lessons, be it Mandarin, Tamil, or Malay. Next, please. Okay, moving on. We were going to the country of K-drama, which is South Korea. So we tend to see that the Korean, when speaking English, they still have that thick Korean accent, right? So there's a reason behind this. English receives heavy emphasis through curriculum time and private tutoring. Yet Korean stays the sole language of instruction in public schools. And the thing is, they encourage bilingual textbook to protect Korean identity while improving English proficiency. So their textbook have Korean and English at the same time in the same textbook. And last but not least, we are going to Finland. Finnish and Swedish in some bilingual regions are compulsory subjects, whereby English is introduced as second language. Policy aims for multilingual competence without displacing the national language, and most of the parents of the children prefer to have their children learn English as their second language. So, before I end, let us compare language proficiency, whether it is monolingual person or multilingual person. So, it is obvious that being a multilingual person provides a lot of advantages because we will have broad cultural appreciation, global career opportunities, extensive travel experiences, and we will have a lot of communication with many communities. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alifha. You have showed us how important balance is, especially in multilingual countries. Okay, after everything we have discussed thus far, we have to question what should education actually look like now? So, let me highlight three key skills that students need in the 21st century. The first key skill is cross cultural communication. Now, being fluent is important, but what's paramount is being able to understand people from different culture, different religions, and different understandings from us. Because in the real world, we will work with people from diverse backgrounds. So, being good in English can maybe help you start conversation. But when you have cultural awareness, you can make that conversation become respectful. The second key skill is critical thinking. Nowadays, we are bombarded constantly with information from online platforms, from the news, from AI, they're everywhere. But if we blindly believe whatever we see online, we will be we will lack intelligence because we have to make sure that the information we receive um, is reliable. And we also have to make sure that what we read online is not biased because sometimes they are not factual. And we also, if we think critically, we can understand global issues more deeply. So educators must stress the importance of critical thinking to students. And last key skill is digital literacy. So a lot of things happen online. Like the meeting we're having right now, it is happening online. And as we know, digital platforms give people voice. So educators must teach students how to use that voice wisely. All in all, 21st century education should give students tools to move confidently between global and local culture. And education must shift from only memorizing contents to developing competencies. And now, Thaqif will present practical strategies to make this vision possible.
Now, before I explain the context of this slide, I wanted to tell a story to open your perspective so you can understand how important in trying to find a solution to overcome this inequality. In the coastals of Kampung and the highlands towns of Malaysia, students come to school with urgent stories. Home disrupted by seasonal floods, morning lived in two or three languages, classmates whose family came as migrant searching for work. These are not distant examples of global issues. They are the lived reality of our classroom. When schooling begins with those realities, learning became meaningful. It honors learners' identities, eases access to complex ideas, and turn abstract global topic into local action. Before I outline these three strategies, I want us to hold these voices at the center of our work
Mm-mm.
so that our approaches are both academically sound and deeply humane. Answering the question I've asked earlier, how do we overcome these challenges as future educators? Now, Here's the answer to that. The first one is multilingual pedagogy. Multilingual pedagogy recognizes learners from home languages as valuable tools for learning, allowing students to use both their home language and English support, deeper understanding, and reduce language barriers. Teaching through paired bilingual tasks and scaffolded transfer activities helps students move ideas across languages, strengthening both content learning and academic language development. The second one is global celebration. Now, what is global celebration focus on? Now, the global celebration focus on meaningful collaboration between classroom in different locations. Short coil style projects or moderated virtual exchanges allow students to engage in shared learning experiences with global peers. Task based teamwork, such as joint research, presentations, and peer review, promote communication skill, collaboration, and intercultural understanding. The last but not least is localized global learning. What it means is connecting global issues to students' local context and experiences. This can be done by using local case studies and mother tongue resource so learners can better understand complex global topics. Co-designing learning materials with community knowledge and local text also increases relevance, support cultural inclusion and help students see the connection between global ideas and their own life. Now, with that done, these challenges can hopefully be overcome as future educators for years to come.
Thank you very much, Thaqif. And that is the end of our discussion for today. Now we have learned a lot, and we understand that our countries here in the world, most of us are multilingual. So sometimes we can feel lost in translation. But as educators, we need to know speaking global should not mean losing local. It means that we should expand students' opportunities without making them lose their local identity. So, what's important, as Alifa mentioned just now, is balance. That is all from us today. I hope we all have learned something new today because I did. And thank you so much, the audience, for tuning in from start to end. And now for the moment that we all have been waiting for, the Q&A session. So please drop any questions or anything you are not clear about from our discussion in the comment section, and me and my panelists will do our best to answer.
Ano nih?
Mhm.
Cakap,
Okay,
apa ni?
so I have a question. Hello?
Uh, yes, Adam Hakim.
Sorry, can you hear me clearly?
Please speak louder. Thank you.
Hello, what about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, how does competence differ from awareness in the context of being a global citizen? I'm gonna put the question down on the chat box.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Adam Hakim. We will compile another two questions, and please give us some time to discuss our thoughts, and later we will answer them. Thank you. Please drop your questions in the comment section, or you can use the voice chat.
Hello, I am Tibashini. My question is, why is the balance model in language policy considered a bridge rather than a battlefield?
Balance model in language proficiency.
Thank you, Tibachini. Can I have another one question, please?
Hi, I'm Yatis. So my question is, Malaysia's language policy reflect a change in the definition of national identity versus economic opportunity?
Okay, thank you, all three of you, for dropping your questions.
Sorry,
Please
class.
give us 2 minutes to discuss our answer. Thank you.
That's the camera kan? What the hell? Okay. Alamak. Korang macam mana? Ni, jawapan dia ada dekat ni lah dalam grup. Siapa nak jawab soalan 1, 2, 3? Bakim tanya soalan 1. Cuba tanya Pak Thaqif, saya nak cari. Oh, itu topik awak kan? Mesti nak jawab soalan ni mati kan? Okay, so Thaqif nombor 2. Dia sampai 40 minit je kan? Minutes. Like, oh. Sepatutnya habis 9:10. I think today's went pretty well though. Yeah. Aku rasa lah. Okay lah. Kejap. Ni dah masuk minit ke-37 dah. Okay, ready. Buka kamera. Sekejap.
Thank you so much for your patience. And now, Alifa would like to answer the first question. She would like to share her thoughts.
So just now, a participant just asked, how does competence differ from awareness in the context of being a global citizen? Right? Okay, so here's my answer. While 78% of youth study foreign languages, showing high awareness and cultural openness, only 42% feel equipped to solve global challenges. Awareness is the recognition of our interconnectedness and global issues, but competence is the willingness and ability to act responsibly for the collective good. For example, addressing climate change or social justice. True global citizenship requires bridging this gap by moving from knowing about the world to taking action within it. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Adam Hakim. Next, Thaqif would like to answer Tibachini's question.
Now, answering this question, why is the balance mode in language policy considered a bridge rather than a battlefield? Well, for me, I think this is a rather interesting question because balance mode in in language policy refers to maintaining both national language and global languages, such as English, in education and public life. Well, language policy is considered a bridge because it connects us to the national identity with global participation. Like we are connecting together using technologies, so we can all united from different backgrounds. Next is instead of treating languages such as competitor or as com- competitors, which in this context is the battlefield. Balanced mode treats them as complementary to serving different purposes, like
Nani,
national language
Nani,
is
nanti minta
used
ajak
to
bergambar kejap.
is used to uh to unite us together, and international language served as global trade, science, and diplomacy. I hope that my answer can satisfy you.
Thank you, Thaqif, and also thank you, Tibachini, for asking a thought-provoking question. Now, I would like to answer Yatis' question. Can I reiterate your question? From my understanding, you asked how does language policy change influence the definition of identity and opportunity?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you, Yatis. Okay, so I would like to say that from Alifa's explanation just now, during her slide about maintaining the balance between native language and English, I understand that in Malaysia, there used to be a system called PPSMI back then. So back then, they learn science and mathematics in English. But right now, it is no longer called PPSMI. It is now what we understand as DLP, Dual Lingual Program. So back then, during the PPSMI era, English focuses on just economic competitiveness. So students learn science and math in English just so they can get into higher economic values. But right now, a Malaysian system, they focus more on the importance of English. And we understand that balance is important, very, very important. So it is important for us to learn English. But at the same time, it is also very, very important for us to maintain our national identity as Malaysians. So, in an article in Malaysia's Constitute, speaking Malay fluently is crucial in determining yourself as a Malay person, okay, as Malaysian. So, I hope that answers your question, Yatis. Thank you so much for Adam Hakim, Tibachini, and Yatis for the questions. Now, before you leave, I would like to share the Google form for the e-certificate. So please wait.
Kita kena isi ke tak, Yan? Okay.
Okay, please access the link and fill the form today if you want the e-certificate. And last but not least, can all of you stay for a while because I want to take a picture with all of you.
I want to take picture too. Tapi aku tak ada screenshot from laptop tau. Okay.
I will screenshot the screen, okay? If you want to open your camera, also can.
Ni mini love. Okay. Okay. So siapa nak cakap? Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for joining
Thank you for
us.
joining us today.
I hope you all learned something new.
Thank you, guys. I deeply appreciate all of your support, and
Yay!
I think that's all.
Yay! Yay, CJ! Yay!
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Sayonara.
Bye, Iman Nabia. Bye, Biha.
Kejap jangan end live dulu. Aku nak tutup ni. Tutup End.